Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to this tutorial. So basically in this tutorial we will see a simple login application where we will be registering the user, we will be entering data to the DB, and after that we will be logging in, and if the user is authenticated, we for authentication purpose we will implement the middleware, and then we will divert the user to the dashboard. Okay, so for that purpose we will be installing these many packages which will be needed by us. Okay, so bcrypt, json web token, cookies we are not using, so you might skip this package. So these many npm packages we will be making use of. I have already written the code, so I'll be just explaining it. So as of now, let me just start from the prisma schema. So I'll be making use of the prisma over here. So when it comes to the Prisma, I've already explained in the previous tutorial how to integrate the Prisma, and we will be making use of the Prisma along with the Postgres. Okay, so over here you have to declare the client over here, generate a client. Provider is Prisma over here. Then the DB source, we will be fetching the URL from the env file, and name of the URL is database underscore URL. So if you just see over here, so here I have declared database URL over here. I'm making use of Postgres. User is Postgres. Your password over here is your password only, and connection is local. I'm making use of the local DB over here, as can be seen, and name of my DB is Prisma underscore example. So I'm connected to this particular DB over here. Okay, Prisma underscore example, and JWT and underscore secret is our JWT secret, which is used at the middleware level. So right now let's again go back to the schema of the Prisma. So I have declared one user model over here which is having the ID, name, email, password, and created it. Okay. So this many fields are there for the user model over here. ID is default auto incremented. Name is of type string. Email is a type string, but the email should be unique. Password is also string, but I'll be storing the password in the form of a hash code. So as can be seen over here, password is in the hash form, not what we have entered during the registration and all, which we will see. Okay, and created at is basically the time at which the user was created, and default will be like current time, default now. Okay, so this is the user model over here which is declared by me. So whenever you make any changes to the schema dot Prisma, you have to run this particular command. Okay, you have to run this particular command over here, npx prisma migrate dev hyphen name, and you have to give the whatever name you want to give to the specific migration. If suppose you have edit user model, you will say edit user model. Okay, so like this is how you have to give the name. Okay, so just name whatever that is. Okay, so you just have to give the name. So whenever you make changes to the this schema file, you have to run this particular command. So that's the thing. And now the our main part is API. So let me just tell you one thing. So when it comes to this Prisma, so schema.prisma file which is created by us, that is basically inside of the root. Okay, so this is our main repo where I've created the Prisma folder, inside of which I've created a schema.prisma. This migrations folder will be automatically created when you will be running this particular command. Okay, so don't worry about this migrations folder. This I've already explained in the previous tutorials. So now what I will do for this purpose, for this uh, project of login system, I'll be creating a few APIs. Okay, so as can be seen, there is this APIs folder inside of the app which is inside of the src. So hierarchy goes like this. Okay, so now let me just expand this APIs folder. APIs folder has a auth folder, dashboard folder, and the user folder. Okay, so when it comes to this, forget this users folder. So this I have used in the previous tutorial, so it is just lying there. We will be making use of the auth. So inside of the auth, there is this login, logout, and register. Forget about the logout. We are not making as a logout. We are just making as login and register. So now let me just go to the register. Inside of the register, there is this route.js. Now, if I go inside of the route.js, I'm importing the Prisma and the bcrypt from the packages. Okay, so the first I am importing the Prisma from the lib folder. So if you just see, there is this lib folder where there is the prisma.js. So this is basically just a configuration of the Prisma, nothing else. Okay, so let's just go back to the register. Over here I have already explained this in the previous tutorials how this post get works. So first of all, I will do one thing. So this is my registration route. Okay, so I am running my project over here and it is running on the localhost 3000. Okay, so it is running on the localhost 3000 forward slash API forward slash auth forward slash register. Okay, so forward slash API forward slash auth forward slash register, and inside the register this route.js, so it is calling this post method. So over here make sure you are selected the post method over here. Okay, so when it comes to this registration route, I will be in need of the name, email, and a password which is been taken from the request.json. Name, email, and password. Okay, which is basically name over here, email, and the password. So whatever you parameters keys pass over here, same you have to cache over here. Okay, so if you are passing something like the name one, here it should be name one. Okay, just remember that. So now, first of all, before registering the user, we have to make sure we are checking the DB whether the user already exists in the DB or not. So over here inside of our Prisma, we have already declared that all the users should have the unique email ID. Okay, that means each and every user will be the email. Each and every user will have the unique email. So for that purpose, we'll be querying the DB to check whether the user already exists with a specific email or not. Okay, so in order to check whether the existing user exists or not, existing user with the same email exists or not, we will say await prisma.usertable.findUnique is the function. Find unique is a function which will making use of to find whether the user with the unique email exists or not. So then I will make use of where condition, and then I will pass the parameter as the email. I'll check whether the user with email exists or not. If the user already exists, then I will throw the error that user already exists. Okay, if the email is already there in the DB. If the email is not, this is just a condition. This is just a condition which we are checking whether you to make sure that there are no duplicate emails in the DB. Okay, and then if the user doesn't exist, then flow will go ahead. Then we what we'll do, we will hash the password. Okay, so whatever password is passed by the user over here, we have to hash it. We can't store the password the way it is in the DB. Okay, as can be seen over here, this is the hashed password, and so for that purpose we'll be making use of bcrypt. I'll say bcrypt dot hash. I'll make use of the hash function. I'll pass the password and pass the number as a 10. Okay, greater is the number, like more the hashing will be carried out much more on the password. Okay, so 10 is the safest, I guess. I don't know like what is the minimum and the maximum range, but 10 is considered to be more complex. Less the number, it will be easier for the hackers to decrypt your password. Okay, so for that purpose we'll give the value as a 10, and then we'll do one thing. We'll create the user in the DB. I'll say await prisma.user.create, then we'll create the user, and data which we will be creating is the name, email, and the password. Instead of the original password, we will be storing the hash password. Okay, so we'll be assigning the hash password to this password field. So over here, as can be seen, the password field, we are storing the hash password. Okay, we are assigning the hash password over here, and once the user has been registered, I will return the response. I will show the message that user has been registered, and this is the user with this particular data with this ID, this email, all those things. Okay, so now let me just do one thing. Let me just hit it over again. So it is throwing the error saying the user already exists. If I go to the DB and if I just show you all, this user with this particular email already exists. Okay, so now I will say AK12, and now if I just hit send, it is saying user has been registered and this is the user data. ID is 5 and email is this particular email. So now if I just refresh my DB, here is the entry. Okay, so as can be seen, user has been created and we can't see the password of the user in the DB because it has been hashed. Okay, so this is how the registration route is working. Now let's go to the login route. Now if I just go inside of the login route, so this is the path src app API auth login, and inside of the login folder there is route.js. Okay, so now this is the login route. Okay, so now what I will do when it comes to the login process, So this is the function which will be carrying out the authentication. Okay, so whether the user is the same user who has already registered. If the user is not there, then it will throw the error. Okay, so now if suppose I will say AK13, and if I just try to log in, it is saying invalid credential. Invalid credential because there is no user with this particular email ID. Okay, that's why it is showing the error. So now let me just explain you what is going on. So this is the post request. So this is the post request. It is going to this particular route. Okay, and it will take the email and the password. As can be seen, I am sending the email and the password. Name is not needed over here. I am sending email and the password over here. It will take the email and the password, then it will carry to the user's DB, and it will try to find whether the user already exists in the DB or not. If the user is already exists, then it flow will go ahead. If the user doesn't exist, then it will throw the error, the invalid credentials. Just now we have seen the error, it was throwing the invalid credential because this email doesn't exist, the one which I have entered previously. Then again it will compare. Okay, so again it will make use of the bcrypt.compare function, and it will check whether the password which is entered by the user during the login, it is matching with the user's dot password. Okay, the bcrypt.compare, what it will do, it will take this hash password, then again it will compare the hash password with this password which is entered by the user during the login process. Okay, so it will unhash the password, it will get it into its original form, it will compare it with the password entered by the user over here, and if everything is fine, then it will go ahead. If the password is not matching, it will throw the invalid credentials. Okay, so now the next part is the token. So token, basically over here we will be making use of it. Let me just get this AK12, AK12, and password is 1234. Let me just login. Okay, if the login successful, you will be getting this token. So we'll be making use of this token for the middleware purpose to access the specific routes and all, which I will show you in the upcoming classes. Okay, so we will be generating the token. So when it comes to the generating this token, now over here you see this token, right? This is like a garbage kind of value that you see. This is basically the token. So this token basically contains the information of the user, like the user's ID, user's email. Okay, and in order to generate this token, first parameter is passing the user's information. The second is a secret. Okay, so when it comes to the secret, so over here if you just see, it is taking this secret from the process.env.jwt file. So process.env.jwt is this secret. Okay, so it is taking this secret. So it is taking that particular secret. Where was I was inside of login. Okay, it is taking that particular secret, and there is this expire in time. So we have to specify the time of this token, after how long this token will be getting expired. So 1h basically means it will be getting expired after 1 hour. So after 1 hour, this user token will be getting expired. So this is how we can define for how long the user can have the login access. So next is response. So once the user has been logged in successfully, I will show the message as login successful. I will pass the token over here, and also the information of the user, like the ID, name, and the email. Okay, ID, name, and the email of the user I have passed over here. This was all about the registration and the login. Okay, so don't focus on this logout. So for logout purpose, I am making use of the another method. So now next is the dashboard. Okay, so now dashboard, if I just go to this dashboard route is one more route I've created over here. So over here, what is going on? So in the dashboard, I'm just getting the user information, like who is the current user, just for sake of the tutorial. You don't have to worry much about this. This is just the extended part what I've done. So over here, I'm getting the user information as the ID, name, and the email. Okay, so ID is 2, name is this is the email. So now if I just hit it, it is working. Okay, so now let me just do one thing. Let me just remove this token. Now let me just send. It is saying unauthorized. Okay, because this route requires the token. So now let me just tell you what is going on. So this is just a simple get request, but if you just hit it directly without providing the token and all, it will throw the unauthorized message. So if you are new, if you're complete new, this might be a little confusing for you. Then let me just tell you what is going on. So when it comes to this authorization, so what is going on? So I am saying request to headers.get authorization. Okay, so when it comes to the request.headers.get is basically refers to this bearer token. So if you just come to the request, so there are just few options over here. Okay, so click on the authorization, click on the bearer token. Okay, so bearer token, and then instead of this bearer token, you have to enter this token. Okay, so after login, you get this token, right? Copy this token, come over here to dashboard, and this token, enter it over here. If I just hit it now, so now we are getting the data. If we remove this token, we're not getting this data. Okay, so this is basically the part of the middleware. Okay, so now let me just tell you what is going on. It is saying request to headers.get authorization. Okay, it is getting this authorization part, and then it is getting this bearer. Okay, so bearer part is basically there was one more way by which I could have shown you all, but that method I can't find over here. So what it is basically doing, this method over here, right now in the short form, I will just explain you. What it does, it will get a token from here, and it then only if the token matches with the logged in user. So if only if the token matches with this login user information, then only it will allow you the access. Okay, otherwise it will not allow. Now if I just send, as can be seen, we are getting this information because we have authenticated the user. So this part takes care of that. Okay, it will get the auth header. Okay, so now we are doing the split one and all these things. So let me just tell you all in the easier way. So this is the header. Okay, so this is the header, and then this is the bearer, value is the bearer, and this is the token. Okay, actual part goes like this, little bit of space, then we have to enter the token. Now if I just hit enter, now as can be seen, we are getting the data. If I just remove this, wait, let me just remove this. Okay, now let me just hit enter. It is saying unauthorized. Now if I just click on this, we are getting the data. Okay, so this is the actual way in which header has been set. So now as can be seen, it is saying request.header, right? So when it says request.header, it is referring to this headers part. Okay, so inside of this headers, these are the key value pair, right? So inside of the request.headers.get authorization, it will look for this key authorization. Okay, once it gets this auth header, it will proceed further. If it is not getting this auth header, it is saying unauthorized. Now if I just remove this key and if I hit enter, it is saying unauthorized because there is no key called authorization. When I click on this click, then it has been enabled. Okay, so now I hope this is clear. So now we have to fetch the token from this authorization part. Okay, so now when it comes to the authorization key, it is having the value as a bearer and then space, then the token, right? So we are just splitting this data. So what we are actually doing, so over here you can consider this auth header. Auth header is basically nothing but it is having value something like this bearer is there, then space is there, and this token part is there. Okay, so this token part, okay, I'm not copying everything. So this token part is there. Okay, so this garbage kind of token part is there, right? Dot dot dot. So this is the part which it is having. Okay, so now over here what we are doing, auth header dot split, we are splitting this value on space. Okay, so when we are just doing the split on space, and then we are doing something like the square bracket one, that means we are just taking this token. Okay, we are just skipping this particular part, we are just skipping the bearer and the space. Okay, I just hope this is clear. We are basically skipping this part and we are just taking the token, this token. Okay, we just want this particular part, so we are taking that token. Okay, and then we have to verify the token with the help of the jwt.verify. Then we will be verifying the token with the secret, and the secret again we are taking from the env file which we have already seen. Okay, and then only if the jwt token has been verified, then we'll get the payload, the correct payload, where we will get the id of the user. Okay, and then we will again find the user in the db, where we will match this user id. Okay, and then If the user matches in the DB, then we will select the user's ID, name, and the email. Okay. So these are the number of the things which will be fetching from the users table: ID, name, and the email. Okay, only if the ID matches. And if the user is not there, then we'll throw the message user not found. And if the user has been found, then we will return the response. We will return the response to the front end. That is basically the user information. Where did it go? Okay, here. If the user has been found, then we will send user information to the front end, which is this user object. I hope this is clear. And where was that hash carried out? So now if we just compare it over here, when we are generating the token, inside of the token we are passing the information like the ID and the email. Okay, so over here if you just check, whenever we are generating the token, we are passing the user's ID and the email. And when we are fetching the user information from the token over here, when the token has been decrypted, okay, we will get the payload. Okay, so whatever we are passing over here inside of the token as a payload like the ID and the email, after decrypting and verifying, we'll get the ID and the email. So over here we will get the user's ID and the email from the payload. Okay, so if we just do the console log, we'll do the console log of this payload, right? If we just do the console of this payload, we will get the this data ID and the email. Okay, you can do this afterwards and you can check. And when we just say the payload.id, so basically when it's a payload.id and payload.email, something like this, so we are basically referring to this particular data. Okay, during the signing in process, whatever we are passing, we will get that same thing over here. Okay, so this is how the process goes. And you don't have to worry much about this dashboard part. Only just focus on the registration and the login part over here. Okay, and the code of this entire tutorial, you will find it in the description. If you just go to the description, you will find the GitHub repo link. Okay, so this was all about the creating the API. So now let me just minimize the API part, and let me just show you all the actual execution part. So now if I just get this thing over here now, so now this is our registration. Okay, so now I'll do one thing. I'll go to the registration folder. So there is this uh, folder called registration, inside of which there is a page.jsx, which I have created inside of the src app registration folder. Instead of the registration folder, there is this page.jsx. Okay, so this is the client side application, client side component. That's why I have used the use client. Okay, and when it comes to this page, there is a simple two fields to take the email and the password, which will be taking the email and the password. Once you enter some email and the password, then you click on the register, which will send the data to the DB, and over here we will see the data. As of now, there are 5 users over here. Okay, so now what I will do, let me just show you how this is going on. So over here, this is just a simple code which is taking the email over here. Okay, and it will take the password. Once you enter the email and the password, then you will click on the submit button, and the submit button will trigger this register function, which is basically this function. Okay, it is triggering this register function. And inside of this registration function, I have given the e.prevent default to prevent the refreshing of the page. And then I will be calling out the /API /auth /register, which is basically this route. Okay, so this route I am calling out over here. Method is basically post. Method is post, same what I have explained you all earlier. And then header you have to give as a content type application JSON, and inside of the body we have to stringify. Okay, JSON the stringify will be stringifying the data. We have to give the name of the user. I'm just passing the default name of the test user, and we have to pass the email and the password. Okay, so over here we are passing the email, password, and the name. Okay, so same thing we have to pass over here to the body. Got it? And once we hit the API, then we will get the response. Okay, so everything over here, this is this result will be catching the response of the application processed. Okay, then what it will do, it will do the await response.json. It will wait for the response, and if the response is okay, then it will set the message registration registered successfully and redirecting to the login page. And after some specific time, which is after one, which like if you just give the value as a 3000 over here, which is basically 3 seconds. If they give like 2000, it's like a 2 seconds. Okay, so I will give it like a 2 seconds. After 2 seconds, it will be directing to the login page. Okay, so now let me just do one thing. So there are these fields which is the we are making as a use state, one to set email, one to set password, and one to set message. Okay, so this set message I am making use of over here to set this message, which is registration successful and redirect to the login page. And then I am showing this message over here. Okay, which is basically down below the button of the this particular text. Okay, so now I will do one thing. I will give the name as Akshay here at gmail.com. Password is 12345, and then I will register. So registered successfully, redirect into the login page. So now I have been redirected to the login page. Now let me just explain you all the login component. Now if I just go to the login component, this is just like the registration component. Okay, so over here I am having this one field to take the email, another field to take the password, and third is the button, which is this login button. And when you're clicking on the login button, it is of type submit. It will invoke this on submit attribute, which will call this function login. Okay, so this is that login method. Okay, so what it will do, it will e.prevent default to prevent the refreshing of the page. It will call this API, which is basically this API. Method is post. Here is content type application JSON, and then when it comes to the body, we will stringify the body, and we will pass the email and the password. So over here we are passing the email and the password during the API testing. The same thing you have to pass over here. Okay, we will do the JSON stringify. We'll pass the email and the password. It will catch the data. When it comes to the catching the data, it will catch this data. Okay, so whatever API sending as a response, that will be cached as the data. And if the response is okay, then what it will do, it will do the local storage dot set data, and in the local storage it will set the token as a data dot token. Okay, so all this object will pass as a data, right? Inside this data I am having this token, so I will do data dot token. If I want to catch the message, I'll say data dot message. So I'll be setting that token as a data dot token. So now let me just tell you where this token is getting set. Okay, so now if I just right click inspect, if I go to the application, this is this local storage. Okay, so instead of the local storage, as of now you don't see any key and value, right? So when I say local storage dot set item as a token, that token will be set over here. Okay, key will be like a token, and the value will be the this token value. Okay, so now let me just do one thing. I will enter my credentials. I will hit login. See, this is the key and this is the value. Okay, so now as can be seen, the token is been set. This is the key, this is the value. So the this value is coming over here because of this particular line. Okay, so now you suppose I'm getting this message also, right? If I want to set this message also, I can do that. I'll do one thing. Let me just show you how to do that. I'll say local storage dot set item. I'm just showing you all for the practice purpose. Okay, I want to get this message, so I'm doing this. So I'll do one thing. I will log in over again. So now if I just log in, so now it's missing token and the message, both the things have been set. This is for the tutorial, for the sake of tutorial I'm just showing you all. and then I'm setting the message login successfully login successful and redirecting. And after the this much of time, after 2 seconds, I'm redirected to the dashboard. Okay, I hope this is clear. And now I have been redirected to the dashboard, right? So on the dashboard there is this text called a dashboard, and it will say welcome test user, and this is the email of the user. So now let me just go to the dashboard and show you all what is going on over here. So now this is the dashboard, and on the dashboard what is happening, I want to fetch the information of this user, okay, user who has logged in. I want to fetch the user's email and the user's name. So now if I go to the DB and let me just refresh and show you all. So this is the email of the user and this is the name of the user, okay, which is basically the test user. So as soon as the component renders, I'll be calling this use effect, right? The use effect is called when the component renders. So what I'm doing, I am fetching the user. Okay, so in order to fetch the user, what I'm doing, I'm getting the token from the local storage. I'll say local storage dot get token. So what when I say local storage dot get token, whatever this token was set during the login process, I'll be getting the value of it. Okay, so this is the token value. I'll be getting the token value, and if the token value is not there, then I will push the user back to the login page. If suppose now if I just delete this, okay, so let me just delete this. Let me just delete this, okay. Now I have removed the key, okay. Now if I just refresh this, it is redirecting the user to the login page. It will not allow the user to go to the dashboard because there is no token. So only if the token is there, then only user is allowed to go to the dashboard. Otherwise, user will be pushed back to the login page. Okay, so that has been done over here. If the token is not over here, there is no token over here, then go push the user back to the login page. Then what am I doing? I am fetching the this user information, which I'll get from this particular API. Okay, forward slash API forward slash dashboard. So I am calling this API inside of the header over here. To authorization part is important. Okay, so I have told you how this authorization part is working. Key, how I've set the key, I have set this value. So over here, what am I doing? Inside of the headers, I am passing the authorization, and I'm giving the authorization as a bearer space and the token. So token, whatever token you have picked up from the local storage, I'm passing it over here. Okay, and if the response is not okay, so if I'm not getting the proper response, this is the proper response. If I'm not getting the proper response, I'm pushing the user back to the login page. Okay, and if my response is okay, then I will get the data, which is basically this data, this user data. Okay, whatever this user data I am getting, I'll set it to the this set user. Over here is my set user. Okay, so let me just show console log and show you what the data I'm getting. If I do console log data, now let me just go to the console. Okay, let me refresh. So over here, if you just see the data, what data I'm getting over here is the object, user object, which is having the email ID and the name. Okay, exact same thing. Whatever I'm getting over here, same thing I'm getting over here. Okay, so whatever data I'm getting, inside of this data I'm having this object called user. Okay, I want this user data, so I'll say data dot user. So if I just access data dot user, now if I just refresh, now this is the actual user data I'm getting, which is the email ID and the name. Okay, so this I am setting it to this particular user. Okay, set user I'm doing, and then I will say user dot name over here, welcome, which is the test user, and the email is this. So now let me just do one thing. I will copy this and paste twice. I will show you the user's email and the password. Okay, so user dot name, user dot email. Okay, so let me just refresh. So now it can be seen. This is how we will be fetching the user's name and the user's email. Okay, so data.user.name, data.user.email. This is how we are getting the data, and the same thing we are showing over here. Welcome test user, and this is the email. And the next we have the logout button. Okay, so logout button. So what happens whenever we want to log out, we'll be clicking on this logout button. On the logout button, what I'm actually doing, I'm calling this function which is handle logout. And handle logout, what it is doing, it is doing the local storage or remove item token. So if you just go to this application, so application, inside the application this is token, right? It is just clearing this. So when I say local storage is remove item token, it will remove this token item. When the token item is not there, what over here or what it is doing? So where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Here. If the token item is not there, user will push back to the login page. That's it. Okay. So now if I just click on this, it will remove this key. Watch carefully. See, once the key goes, this code will be triggered and it will push back the user to the login page. Okay, so this is how the login is working. This is just a simple login process, a login application which you could write by yourself. So this is all about how to carry out the authentication in the Next.js with the help of the Prisma. We have created a user schema, and we have wrote the APIs where there is a middleware part, there is a token. We have used everything. So thanks for watching, and if you want to watch more such videos, please consider subscribing, where I'll be showing you all guys more tutorials on how to carry out this process further. Thanks for watching.